How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie, and on tonight's show, we have a ton of topics that we're going to be hitting on. We recently finished up all of our AFC divisional previews, and we are going to revise, revisit, and give our final predictions as to who will be representing those 7 playoff slots. Got some 49er Cowboy news. Trey Lance is now a member of the Dallas Cowboys. The 49ers found their answer in Brock Purdy earlier this year, so it looks like both teams, in my opinion, benefit from this deal. It gives Trey Lance a second chance at a career, and it gives the San Francisco 49ers a draft pick. And when you got Purdy as late as you did, I think it works out for the better all in all. We're going to give our thoughts on Jonathan Taylor as well as Josh Jacobs. Both running backs are also linked to potential trades. My New York Giants made a big move. And once again, for a great value, we're going to hit on the AL West heating up for the final stretch. Also want to hit on the Shohei Ohtani situation. If he is injured, does he need to give up pitching? We're going to hit on that. And towards the end of our show, we're going to pay some homage to 2 wrestling legends in the form of Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk. With me tonight, my good friends, Mr. Idris I, North Carolina, window 2. We've got my boy Ryan Shed, upstate New York, window 1. And down below, as you already know, I'm your host, Richie, here in St. Cloud, Florida. We're going to start this up with the new news of this trade. Trey Lance is indeed headed to the Dallas Cowboys. Got to start with our resident 49er fan here. Unfortunately, our resident Cowboy is not going to be able to join tonight, but he may be commenting. Shed, we talked off air for a few minutes. What are your ultimate thoughts about this trade? I think you guys did good, all things considered. And I got to say, I think the Dallas Cowboys potentially get a future quarterback if they can groom him properly. So honestly, I think it works out for both squads.
Being a avid 49er fan and, following the media and everything, especially in training camps and all that, I mean, it's just a lot of drama going along with Trey Lance not getting a fair shot, this and that and the other thing. He's not going to get the reps in San Francisco. They're just too stacked. With Brock Purdy being number 1 and Sam Darnold beating him out at number 2. He's so raw, right? He may have a lot of talent. I mean, we haven't had an opportunity to see that, and I think a fresh start is exactly what he needed. And the Niners needed it too, with all the drama and the media slamming, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, the organization, all the fan base, fighting over who should start and this and that and the other thing. It was best for both parties, and especially Trey. I mean, the poor kid had never had a fair shot, and as good as the team as 49ers are, he had a great opportunity, but he got hurt. And unfortunately, it just never, he just never got a fair shot. No, I apologize. He had a fair shot, but he just got hurt, right? It wasn't like they completely ignored him, but you got to go with who's winning, in just my opinion. And Brock Purdy has proven that he can win. And, unfortunately, they traded, a few picks to get him. And, at this point, best for Brock, best for San Francisco. I think it's the right move. Better than nothing. 4th round pick, we'll take it.
And like I said, I think when you factor in that you guys did move some draft capital to acquire him, of course you didn't know about Brock Purdy yet, and of course Jimmy Garoppolo had his own fair share of injuries. But I guess what I'm saying is it's one extreme to the other. You got Brock Purdy so late, and he turned out to be so good that I think it kind of cancels out maybe over-investing in Lance. The 49ers could have kept him around, being that they had rookie control over him. But I think they did what was right for the player. And at the same time, it's a rare trade because it's not common that 2 potential Super Bowl contenders make a deal with each other right before the season. It's usually one team that's trying to rebuild and one team that might be contending. That in itself does make this a little interesting. And plus, you guys, of course, have the playoff history, not just historically, but recent history, last 2 years. Idris, what are your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys acquiring Trey Lance? And do you think that this is ultimately Dak's successor? Or do you think, just given the short sample size, it's kind of too early to even tell?
Well, I think it's his successor, but I'll be honest with you, I was never sold on Trey Lance even coming out of college. one year. He came from the same college Carson Wentz came from, and that system up there.
Wait, Carson Wentz is in window one. He's our guest tonight. That's Carson Wentz.
Well, yeah. Well, I didn't want to say his name.
Yeah, I didn't want to say Prince Harry because they get a little weird. You know what I mean? The paparazzi starts getting a little crazy.
I didn't want to call him out. That's why I was like, Carson Wentz. They can
appreciate
put that together. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, you did your best. You did your best.
But I think he may be there to put pressure on Dak, but I'm just not sold on him. I mean, when he got his chance, he didn't look good on the field.
No,
you have a guy. Yeah, he's that type of quarterback that runs the ball, and we show he's injury prone. He can't stay healthy. And see, remember Carson Wentz from the same college had the same issue. And I never felt Carson Wentz was pro ready because of the system they ran, the conference they played in, and all of that. And you're bringing this kid into the big time, like you did Carson Wentz. You're putting him on a championship team and a franchise who's been around a long time. And San Francisco, say what you want, but that's it's California, man. So
yeah,
I think Dallas. I think they reached. I think the 49ers basically, because they gave 3 first rounds in the third round or something like that, or 2 first rounds, something like that. I think,
and they did move. They did move a couple of parts. Like they did move. Yeah, I honestly, I don't even think that hurts them because of the fact that they've been good. Like it'd be one thing if they didn't have a Brock Purdy, and this would be like really feeling the wrath of them. But I think when you get Purdy where you did, the longest of long shots in the grand scheme of things, I think it worked out rather well. I really do. And
I think he evened out. I think they got rid of a first rounder, but they got the last guy in the draft, but he wound up doing what they expected the first rounder to do, and they got him cheap. So I think the 49ers, I think they won this one.
Steven Ridlon, my buddy, one of my favorite Red Sox fans. One of the few Red Sox fans I enjoy talking to because let's be honest, one of my, like if there's a list of these guys Rids is a funny dude. I take it on the chin like a champion when my team takes it. Shed and I were kind of bitching about the Yankees before the show started.
Yeah. Oof.
But enjoy it now, Rids. Enjoy it now. I will say this, buddy. Garrett Cole, hell of a game tonight. Don't mean shit, though. I will say this. Yankees got a clean house, Rids. It goes without saying. And if they don't, they're going to have similar results. Giancarlo Stanton's ridiculous contract has completely paralyzed the Yankees from moving along, doing things the right way. And if you go back to our history, you take it back to the 90s. I've said it so many times in so many shows. You got to build from the ground up. And I don't care about limitless pockets. That doesn't win championships. You see what happened in Queens. Mm-hmm. And Rids, you being a Red Sox fan, you've seen your team kind of be sporadic where they'll make an ALCS, then they'll die for 2 years, then they'll come back. But ultimately, the Yankees have to start doing things differently. It goes without saying. I will make no excuses for them. A grand failure with all parties concerned, whether it's Hal Steinbrenner, all the way down, Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone. John Johnson said it best, Rids. This dude hit a home run against the Red Sox 20 years ago, and now he gets to be a manager. It is a little comical, and even I have to laugh it off. To wrap up the Trey Lance thing, I said it to Shed prior to going live. I believe that the Dallas Cowboys are growing impatient with dying in the second round every year and not only not getting past the Niners, but just not getting to that next round. I think Mike McCarthy and Dak are on the definitely on the clock because, you might have your next head coach in Dan Quinn, not to mention Trey Lance could be the next guy up. I mean, anybody could have made this trade for him. The Cowboys did, so there is something to be said for that. Want to speak on this before we hit on a couple of trade rumors. New York Giants getting Isaiah Simmons from the Arizona Cardinals, giving up a 7th rounder, essentially got him for free. Revisiting that draft, this is a dude that I actually did want. Zappy said it best this morning. He said he plays all positions, but is not yet a master of any. And I think that's to a level the coaching issue, because I think it's great when you got versatile guys, but you gotta, not only for your system, but figure out what they do best. I think in this player's case, it's still a bit of a question mark, but I feel that the talent is there. I believe that in a system like Wink Martindale's, he could thrive. And I also think that you could use him as kind of like a hybrid, similar to what the Giants did with like a prime Landon Collins. Not to mention, when you take into consideration a guy like Azeez Ojulari has struggled so much to stay healthy, this is good depth because, on those third downs, you can use a lot of these guys at the edges on rotations. He moves around the field well. Good speed sideline to sideline, something that I think all of us Giant fans have wanted with our inability over the years to cover tight ends. He's a good player. But I think that he needs to hone his craft, and I think similar to Lance, maybe not the same thing, but this is a higher draft pick and a guy who hasn't truly hit his ultimate potential. And I think, getting alongside a better culture, yes, indeed, he can make something happen. And if it doesn't work, hey, we didn't give up anything for him, really. Your thoughts?
Let me ask you this. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Great shit.
Well, my question to you Giants fans, where do you put him?
That's a great question. Darian Beavers is going to be coming back off of injury. 3-4 sets. I think your second layer, you're going to have Ojulari and Thibodeau on the outsides. Your guys up front. You got Dexy in the middle. You got Ashawn Robinson, as well as Leonard Williams, and you're also going to rotate Nunez Roche in the mix. I believe, kind of like what I said, kind of like in that second layer. I'm thinking possibly as a safety, but I also think that he might be getting some linebacking duty. I really just think it has more to do with what the situation presents, because one thing that the Giants have going for them that they haven't in quite some time, they've got some speed now. Bobby Okereke, great addition. Very good football player on a very bad team. Beavers, this is his rookie year because last year he didn't play. And I think we have a lot of speed and a lot of sub-package nightmares on the other side of the ball. So, I guess we're going to find out.
Okay.
Injuries always determine some of this stuff too. But, he didn't have the best preseason showing in the secondary in the limited duty that he had with Arizona. That was his final appearance for them. I really think it just depends on the situation. And given, like I said, the injury history of a guy like an Ojulari, I would not be the least bit surprised if you see him as an outside linebacker, but he's definitely going to be I think they got him for the versatility. Wink Martindale likes guys like that. Every coach wants guys like that, and I truly believe that he's going to be a little bit everywhere. Idris, how do you feel about this?
I agree. I think he'll be like Landon Collins. Maybe strong safety, outside linebacker, blitzing linebacker, because he can play both. He has the speed. He's a good tackler. And I think also coming from Arizona, that was a shit show out there.
Yes, they're tanking, dude. It still is.
Yeah, it still is.
They're tanking. They
top to bottom.
They haven't been right since Green Bay smacked them a couple of years ago when they were like undefeated. They haven't been right since that game.
No, and I
they want to tank.
Yeah, exactly. And with Wink Martindale, what type of defense he runs, and you got a coach like Brian Dable. He already let it be known you have to be able to play more than one position. And Brian Dable loves depth. Because you see how he did with our receivers. He just bought, if you don't want to play, I got a guy sitting on the bench ready to get in there. So
absolutely.
That makes
you put that on full display.
He makes you fight for your job. You're not just going to be on a team
and needed
play.
Yeah, as it should be,
Yeah. I think with Simmons coming from Arizona, coming from that thing over there, and we got X back there. X is, we know what type of leader he is. He's going to make sure those DBs are on point.
That's what excites me about this move, because he's going to be around other professionals. I feel like in Arizona, outside of a guy like a J.J. Watt, they were just a bunch of individuals collecting checks.
That was it. And when Watt went down, everything went, you know.
And when your leader is more worried about Call of Duty.
Yeah, exactly. Leonard Williams and Dexy, they're like brothers. And he's in the right position. They're going to push this guy.
It's a good place. It's a good place right now. You know, the Giants, I'm not going to sit here and insinuate that right now we jump the Cowboys nor the Eagles, but one thing I will say is we are shortening the gap. The Giants next year are coming into substantial cap flexibility, and I think year 3 is where they can truly finish the roster. A lot of time left. Yeah. We're going to do our NFC East preview in the next week and a half or so, but one last thought on the Giants before we move it along, and I said it to Zappy this morning. The interior offensive line is still our bigger worry. I feel that Evan Neal will make a significant jump in this year too. I really like John Michael Schmidt. Personally, I think we drafted the best center in this draft. Andrew Thomas is an all-pro. But the 2 guards definitely can be replaced, definitely will be replaced. Bredeson, I'm going to try to be patient, see if he can pan out. Glowinski is a stopgap. He's not that young in terms of football mileage. So we'll see how it plays out, but I like what we're doing. Joe Shane is basically the anti-everything that went wrong for the Giants for a good decade or so with the Gettlemans and the Jerry Reeses. You know, he's making responsible football moves and not making emotional decisions. The Saquon situation is a great example of that.
And we got a coach who's saying, you got to earn your job. You got to earn the place.
Yeah, I love it, you know, and he's not afraid to curse out anyone on that team. But one thing I love about him, he commands respect, and his players play very hard for him. And I do think that part of building a winner is you got to care about the guy next to you. And I do believe in that locker room. They are a tight-knit bunch, and that is one of the fundamental keys for winning. I mean, you look at this guy's team, Shed. That team is tight, very tight-knit group, and that is a huge contribution to chasing Super Bowls. Giants are getting there. Before we move on, every time I think of John Schmidt, I would think of John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. that little jingle. I mean, when I first heard him, I was like, that's the first thing came to my mind. I was like, his name can't be that. And I had to Google him. I'm like, okay, make sure. Well, when you got 2 first names, you already know you're a boss. Right. We're gonna hit on. I'm going to say this right now. Yeah. I'm going to be sick, literally ill, if Jonathan Taylor should get traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. I would literally be sick about that.
I'm gonna be hurt.
Yeah, they have enough over there. So I guess I know Miami, their 1 trade request was denied. I do understand that they are still talking with the Colts. Colts are not contending right now. But I do believe that it's a weird one because very rarely do you get what they're asking for a Jonathan Taylor. They want a first rounder. The Eagles are in an odd position. The Eagles are in an odd position where they actually do have the draft capital to make this happen, even if they're over-investing, because the Eagles are in win-now mode. They got the best O-line. They have a great committee of running backs. And to speak on the O-line, they are able to mask any weaknesses in Jalen Hurts' game. And listen, I'm not trying to crap on the guy. He had a good year. And he has 2 excellent wide receivers. And he has a pretty good wide receivers coach in Mr. Aaron Moorhead. I'm going to say that too. They're a really good team. Yeah, anytime. AM's always welcome. But I do want to say this. I'm rooting for Miami to acquire him. I do not want him in Philly. I actually think he will end up in Miami for a litany of reasons. This is the final year of his rookie deal. But I also say to myself, what's more appealing? You want to go to Miami or you want to go to Philly? I'm not, and the no state tax in Florida, he can potentially, that can be his next destination, maybe sign a long-term deal with that team. They're not trying to trade for him to use him as a rental. You know what I'm saying? This is a team that, once again, they're in win-now mode as well in a very congested, very good AFC East. as Josh Jacobs goes, I know he hasn't signed the tender yet. I think this is literally going to come down to right before the season, and he's going to report because he ain't going to sit out and miss money. That I can tell you. And the Raiders don't want to trade him.
No.
So I would like to think that all these running backs learned something from Le'Veon Bell because he really did screw all running backs because of his shenanigans back when he was a Pittsburgh Steeler. He screwed the running back market back then because you know, when you leave and when a team doesn't miss a beat and you were like considered the dude back then, it does have a lasting effect on how other organizations are going to approach similar situations. And while I don't think it's fair the way things are set up right now for running backs, I do think that they have to potentially go to the committee at the CBA and try to work something better for themselves. Maybe lessening the rookie deals with running backs versus quarterbacks. They are different positions. They are different pay grades. That's something that could potentially be a thing. Shed, do you have any hunches on where these two might be ending up?
So to your point with the Le'Veon Bell situation, similar to the Josh Jacobs thing. So here's what I've learned. Running backs need the team more than the team needs them. They can replace them within reason with the next guy up because those guys are fighting for roster spots and getting paid.
And there are few that defy that. There are a couple of guys around the league.
There are.
And one of them plays for your team.
Yeah, McCaffrey's. Yeah,
one of them plays in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, look at Le'Veon Bell. He was. I mean, in my fantasy draft that year, I was number 1 overall pick, and Le'Veon Bell. Everybody, he's going to report. He's not going to hold out. He obviously screwed me. But my point being, like he was like the best running back in the league, PPR, the whole thing. And then he didn't play that year. And then he had one shot after that, and he was out of the league. My point being, like he was replaceable. Everybody's replaceable. And as good as Josh Jacobs is and Jonathan Taylor is when he's healthy, the team will just move on. Like, okay, well, if you don't want to play, fine. You're gonna screw yourself on all these millions of dollars, whatever. We would like to have you, but it's not all this drama. You know what I'm saying?
With Taylor, I think it's more of just wanting to get out of Taylor doesn't want to spend his prime years for a loser. In Jacobs' case, I think it's more predicated off of his disgust with the way that the running backs are treated like cattle. There is validity to that side of the coin.
Yep.
And like I said, they could cry, bitch, and moan, but they got to understand, hey, guys, you agreed to this shit to the CBA. Yep. Mm-hmm. Now, because it's a thing, you guys need to get together as grown men and come up with a resolution that works for you. And ultimately, I think how this works, rookie deals are going to be different for running backs and for quarterbacks, because when quarterbacks get out of those rookie deals, they get the big money. And I do think that's going to be a thing.
But to answer your question, Richie,
that's good.
I don't think either one of them move.
Oh, really? You don't think? I think Taylor's getting moved, bud.
I don't.
I think Taylor moves too. Yeah, I think Taylor moves.
Not Philly. Please, not Philly. God, no.
No, just please don't go to Philly or Washington.
I don't care if he goes to Washington. Just don't go to Philly.
And we've seen that when running backs go, the other teams can win. Our Giants for 2 Super Bowls. We went running back by committee. Both times.
Absolutely. And even if, back it up to the 90s, very similar.
Yeah. Even your 49ers back in the day, they had Rathman and
Roger Craig?
How can I
Ricky Rodgers?
Roger Craig. Exactly. So it can be done. It can be done. That next man, these are running backs who want to get on the field. And they will show their ass. So
for sure. I completely agree with you.
Our Giants fans said, no, you gotta pay him $16 million. Blah, 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 blah. Buffalo didn't have a real name running back up there for a while. After a little while. His
name's Josh Allen. His real name is Josh Allen.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
With Dable up there. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to devalue. Listen, a guy like a Christian McCaffrey brings a very interesting skill set. A guy like a Derrick Henry is valuable because he still plays running back like they did in the 90s when you could run the offense through him. But those two guys are few and far between. And I love Saquon, but he doesn't quite fit the category for either. He is excellent at what he does.
Look, when McCaffrey was here in Carolina, he was Carolina. He did it all.
Absolutely.
He really was. He really was.
Throws a touchdown pass last year, catches one, runs one in. That's Al Bundy territory, gentlemen.
Damn right. Polkai, baby.
Polkai, 4 touchdowns. All right. Before we move it along to some of the other sports, I do want to hit on this for a moment. This here is my final AFC predictions. When I did the math, I wasn't making all the way sense on some of these previews. I got the Chargers finishing first. I'm going to let the viewers just kind of eye this for a moment. By all means, if you guys want a rebuttal, because I'm also going to throw your 2 predictions up here as well. Short and sweet. This is way too early. I just want to reiterate that. My AFC championship game, and this is way too early, it's going to be the Los Angeles Chargers hosting the New York Jets. And I've got the New York Jets reaching their first Super Bowl since 1969. Yeah, it's not easy to say shit like that when I got this hat on. But, part of being on this show is you got to be subjective. You got to be fair.
Yeah.
If there is a team of the wild cards that can truly bust it up, I'm going to just flat out say it's the defending world champion Kansas City Chiefs. The Jets will not win in Arrowhead, so that, but they will win in Los Angeles. If the Jets host the Chiefs, they can get them in Jersey. I do believe that. Some people might find this a little odd as to why I have 2 AFC South teams when that division isn't that good. I have 2 AFC South teams because that division isn't that good. When I think about the North, I think that those 2 teams could potentially be better than the Jaguars and the Titans, but I do think the difficulty of schedule actually hurts some of these teams in the North. That's why I got the North only sending 1 team. I could be wrong. The AFC East and the NFC East play each other this particular year, and they can determine by the interconference games some of this. But like I said, way too early predictions. This is what I got now. Reason why I'm picking Tennessee in this division, I think I really believe in Derrick Henry. I think Mike Vrabel is going to have a bounce back. And hold off on the Jaguars for just a little bit, guys. They only finished 1 game over 500 and almost lost to the Tennessee Titans, who were marched out. Terrible quarterbacks. So hold off on the Jaguars for now. I still got to see a little more before I buy them. I'm going to show you guys what Idris and then Ched put down. Idris, this is your story, so you can tell me how this goes.
Yeah, I would say, please don't let me explain something. It was hard once I got past the division winners. Now, after further review, I was thinking all day today. I'm taking Jacksonville out and I'm putting Tennessee as a division winner.
Okay, you're seeing it my way.
Yeah, I am. I'm seeing the light, man. Also,
all right.
Yeah, that's the major change. But damn, man, it was so hard once you got the division winners out the way.
Well, you know what it is? This AFC, you could have a 7, 7 go, but you could have 8, 9, and 10 that could potentially make the playoffs in the NFC. The NFC has 3 great teams right now. Everybody else is still trying to get there. Absolutely. I mean, so you're kicking out the Jaguars. You're putting in the Titans. Who do you have winning the conference? Who was your AFC title game?
Oh, the Jets and KC in New York.
Okay. Well, you got the Chiefs at 1, so that ain't happening.
Oh, you're right.
Unless you want to flip that.
I'm gonna have to.
So you're putting the Jets at 1. You're backing the Chiefs up as well.
No. I'm gonna keep Jets. I'm gonna keep it the way I am. Damn, man.
Jets for the road dub.
I'm gonna have to, man.
State Farm Bowl title game road dub.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, man, because I'd be honest with the Chiefs, the Chargers. I think they're gonna be better, but for some reason, I think they're gonna be looking like the Cowboys. They're gonna look good.
Well, it's Kellen Moore. Zappy did say this about the Chargers. He said he has them winning the West, but the Chiefs will beat them when it matters in the playoffs. I have the Jets, that team that knocks them out. I think the Chiefs have an issue because of the fact that one of their premier defensive players is not locked up right now. And I do believe that could affect them, and that to be continued. We're going to see how that plays. This is what Shed said to me here.
Let's see what Shed got.
We got the Bengals at 1, the Chargers at 2,
Ooh.
Bills at 3. And what's interesting, all of us did one thing in common here. Nobody got 13 wins, and I think it speaks on the difficulty of the competition in the AFC. Like I said, the East plays the East. Those are going to be wars this year because both Eastern divisions are all the way back. For the most part, I agree with most of what he has happening here. The only thing that I would personally change, I just have a funny vibe that the Baltimore Ravens are going to continue to be hampered by injuries, and that will prevent them. And I did say I have Tennessee. But Jacksonville and Tennessee, that's going to go down to the wire, in my opinion, final week of the year. Shed, who was your AFC title game?
It's the Chargers hosting the Bengals.
Ooh, okay.
Or sorry, the Bengals hosting the Chargers. My bad.
Okay, so that sucks for the Chargers.
Yeah, they're going to be in Cincinnati, where it's an outdoor stadium, cold.
Well, those two were in the same draft class, so that.
Well, so I still have the Bills winning that division, and I want to touch on why I don't have the Jets winning the division and not advancing to the AFC Championship game like the two of you. Now, I'm sure you're very well aware of their schedule in the beginning of the season. Not only is it a very difficult for first out of 6 games, I believe. It also takes a very long time to establish yourself as a team with the camaraderie and all of that kind of thing and know who's going to be where. You don't just snap a finger and Aaron Rodgers is going to know where, Garrett Wilson is or whomever. I know they have Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall, and their defense is still legit, but still, it's going to take a little bit. Even if they come, I don't think they're going to come out of the gate running, but they're still going to be competitive. They'll eventually.
I'm with you to a level.
They're going to be in the playoffs, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to get over that hump.
That's the reason I don't have them winning 12 or 13 games for what you essentially said. But what I do think helps, Rodgers brings over a trusted friend in Lazard. Cobb's not so much about being on the field. It's more about his presence there. The Nathaniel Hackett connection, I do believe, bodes well. And as Garrett Wilson goes, the reason why I'm actually optimistic for Gang Green, this kid won Rookie of the Year last season with piss-poor quarterback play. So your AFC title game is the Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Chargers, and I'm assuming you have the Bengals winning.
Nope, I have the Chargers winning.
Oh, shit, in Cincinnati. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. I like it. I actually do. It's interesting. I like hearing different stuff. So we're going to hit on this for a moment.
Before the season started, though.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm going to drop
predictions. And if everybody stays healthy, this is what I got.
And that's what the cool thing. We can revisit this. The internet always wins, and we can revisit this. AL West, definitely up for grabs. 3-team race right now. Seattle Mariners, Zappy's Rangers, the Houston Astros. I've been seeing a little too many blunders out of the Texas bullpen for me to feel that in the postseason they're going to get where they need to be. I think the solution could be in-house when Jacob deGrom returns from Tommy John. I actually believe that he can be the closer. High leverage situations for a guy that's used to being a starter that has great stuff. But until then, I don't think the Rangers have enough in the pen to get it done. I don't think anybody in the American League is going to beat the Atlanta Braves. But as far as this division goes, as much as it pains me to say it, once again, got to tell the truth, I just don't see anybody in the American League, particularly in this division, holding off the Houston Astros when it counts most. I think the Astros are going to win this division. They're going to sneak it. And when I think about potential matchups for the Houston Astros, oddly enough, in a series, even though Tampa has been hampered with so many injuries plus a criminal investigation into their best player, I still think the Tampa Bay Rays have the guts to hang with the Astros and the familiarity. I don't think it's the Orioles. Texas has guts. I just don't think that they have the pen. Houston Astros for the division and for the pennant, as much as I hate that team. I do like Dusty Baker, though.
I'm gonna go with the Mariners, man.
Ooh,
I
okay.
think the Mariners are gonna pull up. Yeah. Oh, side
They
note,
really did turn it around.
Y'all know. Just to let y'all know, if we were in the AL Central, the Yankees would be in second place.
Golf clap on that.
I need that one little thing to feel good about.
Yeah, and if I still played for Hagen O'Reilly's, we might be able to beat the Yankees.
If I never broke my hand, I'd have went professional as a boxer. But
yeah,
but I'm going with Seattle. I think Seattle.
If I never broke my right hand, I might be a lefty. Or it doesn't matter.
I think I'm a lefty.
Yeah, there you go. Southpaw.
But I think the Mariners. But I agree with you. I don't think anyone is going to beat the Braves. Anything can happen. But God, the Braves are just so damn deep, man.
Yeah, they should have. I feel that they were the best team the National League had to offer last year. They didn't get it done. I don't see that happening 2 years in a row. They got the answers top to bottom. They're really good. Shed. The fucking Astros again.
Nope. To your point with Texas, this is what happens to teams, right? They start out super hot and eventually they just start, deteriorating.
I think they're good, but it's that damn.
I do.
Yeah.
But eventually things catch up with you when you're not as good as everybody thinks you are. Seattle, look at that. Like, they're getting hot at the right time. I mean, it's still early though, and they may fizzle out, but man, are they hot right now, man.
They were one of my preseason favorites coming in, and I'm actually happy to a level that they're starting to find their stride. I'm going to just make this short and sweet because, obviously our Yankees are friggin' dead. My late grandfather was a diehard Cubs fan. Therefore, I will be pulling for the Chicago Cubs if they finish the season where they are now and qualify for the playoffs. I also would not be upset to see the Cincinnati Reds get there. It would kind of be cool. They haven't been there since '90.
They're fun to watch.
They're a really good team, bro. And oddly enough, I was running through the catalog the other day. My preseason prediction for the Reds was 62-100. I could have not been any more wrong about a team. And normally I'm pretty good with picking baseball standings. This year is not an exemplary of that. I had the Padres winning the National League. Dude, we were on that show. I almost want to take it out of the library, but you know what? It just goes to show that no matter how much you know, you don't know shit sometimes.
I think I had the Padres, the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I know I had Cincinnati at the bottom or near the bottom.
Bro,
it was one of them.
We were wrong about damn near anything that mattered.
You couldn't, again, that's why they call bold predictions at the beginning of the season. You don't know how
my Yankees,
come up.
I had my Yankees as a 100-win team. Say no more. That's enough.
Dude, I didn't have the Diamondbacks out of the cellar. I had them in the cellar.
All joking aside,
they're a surprise team.
Well,
they're a surprise team.
I know.
All joking aside, the DeGrom thing. Do you think he's a viable solution for Texas when he comes back? I don't think his future is starting games anymore. I think you got to put him in a
closer.
The closer or
modern day Eric Gagne, man.
Thank you. That is a great. That is a great comparison. I actually think that if DeGrom can make the transition, and he might be the missing link to what this Rangers team needs to win a World Series because they don't have the answers to the ninth. It's certainly not Aroldis Chapman, but I think DeGrom sews up a Hall of Fame career by going to the pen. I think he's a fringe Hall of Famer because of all the action missed. He puts together a good 2-3 years of closing games for a pretty good organization, and Bruce Bochy's a hell of a manager. Yes, I think the Texas Rangers might win a world championship in the next couple of years. It's not this year, though. Keeping it in that division. Shohei Ohtani, guys.
My boy Shohei.
Yeah, America's MVP, as Zappy likes to say.
Showtani.
Does he need to give up pitching for the betterment of his career? But having said that, what does the future hold for him? And is he going to lose value? Because, he's kind of like a two-trick guy. He pitches, he's a DH, he's a top 5 offensive player. But if you take away the pitching element, he's still a hell of an offensive player, but he's just a DH now and maybe the occasional outfielder. It changes that mammoth contract that people are projecting that's going to break all records for this sport. How How do you guys see this playing out?
I think I would sit him down pitching wise and say just DH him the rest of the way.
Well, they're going to do that with the UCL, but they're talking. There is a possibility Tommy John could be in his future again.
Yep.
Right, and that's the reason I think someone would still get him the contract, hoping that he can do what he did, but I think he just needs to shut it down.
Zappy said it like this, and I kind of got to agree with the way Zappy worded it. He said Shohei's body's trying to tell him that you can't continue to do this. And ultimately, similar to the guy that he's been compared to, Babe Ruth, he might, similar to Ruth, he might give up the pitching.
Yeah.
I think he has to.
Yeah.
Any kind of value you're going to bring to yourself and any organization, you're going to be more valuable if you can actually play. If he has to get Tommy, like, let's say he gets signs with the Dodgers in the offseason, like they expect him to pitch. All right, then you're going to have to let him get Tommy John series out a year minimum. That means no batting, no pitching. He comes back. You're never the same. I mean, he might be good for a little bit, but he's going to turn it again. He's going to, you know what I mean? Like at some point, you just got to cut your losses and just be the one-way player that everybody else is. Like Zappy elaborated too. Like you know, like your body's telling you something, and you're a phenomenal offensive player. You're not going to get that money that you were probably going to demand on the market anymore. But at what cost? You know, I mean, if you're going to try to be a two-way player, you have to pick a lane and stay in it. At this point, it's not worth the money and everything else you're going to lose. You're 29 years old. At some point, you're not 21 anymore. Everything's going to catch up with you.
You take away the pitching element, I think he does better than Judge. But it ain't going to be anything in the realm of the mammoth contract that has been projected.
Yep.
Which is still a freaking great contract.
He'll put fans in the stands and people will pay him dumb money anyway.
Absolutely.
If you're going to let him pitch, I would do like I would do DeGrom. Bring him out the pen. I'm not going to.
That is another possibility, Idris. Yeah, that is another possibility. But what's interesting about approaching a situation like that, on days that he's in the pen and not starting a game as a pitcher, he essentially he won't be in the lineup that day. Right. It's one thing if he starts and you put him at DH, I said this backwards. No. It's one thing if he starts and you use him in the pitching spot, because he is the only pitching spot that still is used. The rest of the league, every day of the week, uses a DH, and Shohei's only a DH on days he doesn't pitch. And I don't want to write a funeral song for his pitching career because we don't know everything yet. But I must admit, it couldn't have come at a worse time when you think about that he's approaching free agency. It's crazy. Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, two of the true faces of Major League Baseball, both on the shelf for a considerable time. But I agree with what Shed said. I agree with what Zappy said. I think we all agree to a level. I don't know if he could continue to be a starting pitcher and expect to have the career that he wants to have.
Agreed.
Like Shed was saying, you had Tommy John surgery. You're going for a year.
Right.
He was both sides of the plate.
Yeah, you come back. You're gonna pitch again. You're gonna hit again. You just putting more wear on your arm. You know.
It's no joke. It's no joke. Before we get out of here, I did want to make a mention to the wrestling fans that follow our show. I know our guy Quentin Moore, a huge wrestling fan. Very sad news coming out of WWE. 2 deaths to 2 legends. The one thing that Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt had in common, and I think that made them both very special, is that a big part of professional wrestling and getting over with the people that adore you is the art of storytelling. I think in Terry Funk's case, I mean, that's an old school guy. You know, that goes back to the Hogan era, way, way back.
Yeah.
He fought in New Japan, ECW. He did it all. That man would literally do anything for the company he worked for. Similar to a guy like Bray Wyatt, tragically passed away at only 36 years old, father of 4. He's actually the son of Mike Rotundo. Some of you might know him as IRS from the 90s. According to what I read, and it seems to be confirmed at this point, COVID essentially messed up a heart condition that he already had. Do I know if this is related to the vaccine, all that other stuff? No, I do not. I'm not 100% sure about all of that. But what I will say about this guy, and I think what the fans are going to miss the most, is that this is a dude that during the pandemic, a time when you didn't have any fans in the arena, did an unprecedented match called the Firefly Funhouse match against John Cena, who was basically the institution at that point, the golden boy, so to speak. And I think the thing that made Bray Wyatt cool, he didn't necessarily have the best body. He didn't necessarily have like all the God-given looks, but truly a hard worker and a guy that just was able to take his character to a lot of different places. And I don't watch pro wrestling as much as I used to, but he is one of the reasons why I did tune in still to this day. And I must admit that, Erwin I. Shyster, that's correct, Shed. Yes, indeed. That was his dad. Actually, he went to Syracuse.
Yep.
Sure. IRS from Syracuse. His uncle was Barry Windham. So,
he had a brother. Are you talking about Funk? Are you talking about
No, I'm actually talking about Bray. IRS Bray, was his dad. Barry Windham is his uncle.
Yeah. Ain't that something?
Just sad, man. They did the 10 bell salute tonight on SmackDown. I did catch it on Twitter. Death happens, but I feel that this really tore wrestling to its core because while Terry Funk is a legend in his own right, he died living a full life. When you're 36 years old, it's a completely different thing when you're only 36.
And to speak on Terry Funk, because I remember him when I was a kid, NWA, WWF, all that stuff, hardcore, WCW. I remember all that stuff back then. And with him, his brother Dory Funk, they both wrestled together. And they both came from their father, Dory Funk Sr., who was also professional.
Yes. So he had the brand. I remember that was.
Yeah.
He had the branding thing. I remember when I was a kid, I used to have the wrestlers.
Exactly.
It came with that. Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart was his manager.
Big microphone.
I would say one of the best compliments that you could give a guy like Bray Wyatt was that he was able to basically take on any kind of role, even for a guy like Mick Foley, who's a hardcore legend and just a legend in general. I was at MSG back in back in 2000 when The Rock won the Royal Rumble and when Triple H and Mick Foley had that hardcore match. For a guy like him to say that he's honored that Bray Wyatt used the mandible claw as his finisher, the words wouldn't do it justice. He took over the crowd. They turned off the lights for him. It was a different kind of vibe with Bray Wyatt. And, short life, but a very impactful one. And I know without a doubt, I speak for the panel here, that our heartfelt condolences go to his 4 children, as well as his wife, his father. It's never fair for a father to have to bury their son. That's just not fair.
Yeah, he was young, man. He was young, but 37, I think, 38. Young man.
36, bro. 36.
Yeah, I know he was a young guy.
Yeah, truly tragic, man. I was taken back. Yeah. Truly, I was taken back when I read it. I had to read it like 3 times to believe it.
But we had just lost Terry Funk. Just lost him.
Yeah. The same week they did the 10 bell salute for both wrestlers. And another thing too, like I alluded to the pandemic WrestleMania. There were 2 matches that stood out, and they had to get very creative. The Undertaker's final match against AJ Styles and the Firehouse Fun match, in my opinion, really saved that card.
Yeah.
But even going back and messing with the mind of John Cena, how John, they took it all the way back, and he kind of flipped it on John Cena, making John Cena look like the bad guy. Like, hey, you were the bully, and you used to be like the fake rapper, and you were too scared to go heel. But this is what it would have looked like if you would have been. It was interesting to say the
storytelling, like you're saying.
The storytelling. Yeah. It was great.
Something I'll genuinely never forget. Thank you, Bray Wyatt, for being a phenomenal entertainer. And one thing I am confident about, wrestling community is a very, very special place in the sense that they really are a family because they spend so much time away from their families more than anything else. I mean, you're talking the old days, 300 days on the road. It's a little more reasonable now, but when you're talking about carrying the flagship, being the flagship performer, those are the years where you really give up a lot of every bit of it to be that person. Professional wrestling, incredible sacrifice. And, at the end of the day, yes, it's scripted, but those people take beatings, and the
beatings are real.
It's a legitimate fraternity,
No doubt.
and I have a lot of respect for what they do. Very sad, you never want to hear it, but definitely wanted to try to pay homage and give a few minutes to one of the best performers I've ever seen in the modern era. Thank you for watching, everyone. This was an awesome show. We're going to be back Sunday with our NFC West preview. NFC West preview. We got 2 more previews to go, and just to give the viewers some info, starting on the first Wednesday of September, we are going to be giving you our divisional previews every Wednesday morning. If anything changes, of course, we're going to keep you in the know. But for now, we're going to be doing that. Divisional previews, 2 left. We got the East and we got the West. We'll be hitting on the West Sunday. Look for us roughly around noon. And there will be an announcement following that about our NFC East show. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. For my guys, Mr. Ryan Shedd, Mr. Idris Salam, I am your host, Richie. Thank you for spending some of your Friday night with us, and we will be back soon. Take care, everyone.